Mr. Chancellor, Mr. President, members of the board, faculty and staff of the University of Toronto, ladies and gentlemen, and most important, today's graduating class. It is an enormous pleasure to share this day with you and to participate in the celebration of what you've accomplished during your time at the University of Toronto. You should be very proud of your achievements to date, as reflected in the degree that will be conferred upon you this evening. You should also know that this achievement does not by any means mark the end of your education. You will continue to learn for the rest of your lives, partly out of necessity, but partly, I hope, based on the experience you've had at the University of Toronto, out of a sense of intellectual excitement and curiosity. You have had a superb education. You are the products of a university that has deep roots in the Canadian community and traditions of service to the many and diverse communities that make this country great. The traditions and mission of your university are fundamental to Canada and to the many intertwined cultures that provide its strength and delightful complexity. As I reflect upon my own first convocation, more than half a century ago, it brings to mind the components of what is a very special day for all of you. You are not the same as when you arrived. You're older, you know more, you understand more, you've learned how to think, to question, to analyze, to organize your thoughts, to communicate. And perhaps, above all, you realize by now that your education will never cease, that it will be a constant process for the rest of your lives. You've also reached a measurable stage of progress in your life's journey, one that calls for both recognition and celebration. You've had the benefit of an education which ranks among the finest available on the face of this planet, and you are about to embark on further adventure in Canada or elsewhere. The occasion calls for ceremony, which takes the form of this traditional academic procession and gathering, the public confirmation of what you've accomplished, the granting of a degree, certificate, or diploma, and finally, the sharing of your achievement with family and friends. I add my own congratulations to each of you. There is, however, yet one more rite of your initiation. You must endure the dreaded convocation address. You will understand that it is no accident that the convocation address is scheduled to occur before you get your degrees. Were it otherwise, you would undoubtedly vote with your feet, and I would have a chance to address an empty hall. Under the current protocol, however, you now have the opportunity to learn how to simulate a lively interest in what someone you have never met might choose to impose upon you, and I to pretend that you are fascinated with my every utterance. On the division of labor inherent in this protocol, my job is to speak. Your job is to listen. I will try to finish my job before you finish yours. Reverting to convocation, or to convention rather, one of the expectations of the convocation speaker is that he or she will leave you with some advice based upon personal life experiences, while at the same time having the decency to spare you a predictably tedious description of those personal experiences. So I hope to discharge my responsibility by relying, for the most part, on the words of far more illustrious persons than the one now standing before you. But I can say that each of these thoughts has had a significant impact on the development of my life. I urge you to try and think of the observations as the product of research rather than plagiarism. And perhaps some of them may have resonance for you during the exciting times you are about to encounter. Here they are. Learning is not compulsory. Neither is survival. Nothing is interesting if you're not interested. You can't build a reputation on what you are going to do. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. All progress occurs because people dare to be different. If you don't know where you're going, you will probably end up somewhere else. A strategic plan is useless unless you first have a strategic vision. Problems cannot be solved by thinking within the framework in which the problems were created. Keep your mind on the objective, not the obstacles. Don't look where you fell, but where you slipped. It's easy to make a buck. It's a lot tougher to make a difference. If it's wrong, it's wrong, even if everybody's doing it. And if it's right, even if nobody's doing it. And finally, the only place where success comes before work is in the dictionary. I wish each of you the best of success in what lies ahead. The waters you will encounter are uncharted, and the risks in tomorrow's world will be challenging. But if you've used your time well at the University of Toronto, you have the advantage of knowing how to choose, to decide, and to act. You must use those advantages with a sense of responsibility as well as of adventure, and I'm sure you will. I'm very pleased and proud to share this day with you and hope that you are comfortable with the presence of a fellow graduate who is ever so slightly above the median age of the class of 2016. My last responsibility this evening is to thank the University of Toronto for the great honor it has bestowed upon me today. I deeply appreciate the generosity of spirit with which it was offered, and you will understand the alacrity with which I, as a St. Catharines boy, now in Montreal, was delighted to accept your kind invitation. Thank you.